Hey, Rich. Yeah, I have a quick question. It's not regarding the Me Too movement, but
Okay,
it's something else.
go ahead.
I have been in few LTRs, and as soon as the marriage talk comes in,
Mhm.
usually the relationship ends in few weeks or months.
Okay.
So how do you navigate that? How do you keep the relationship going on after you have the kind of the marriage talk?
Okay, so you're not interested in the marriage part.
No, no, absolutely no.
So it's an absolute not. How old are you?
35
And how old are the women that you're typically dating?
in their early 30s.
Early 30s. And at what point in the timeline does the I'd like to get married at some point conversation come up?
Usually comes up after a year, two.
Okay. And how do you usually respond to that? Like, how do you address it?
I usually address like I'm not interested in having the government involved in our lives. I
Yeah.
want to continue with it relationship, but I don't want government to participate in our bedroom.
Mm. And how does she typically respond to that?
They're kind of upset, in a sense that I guess that's woman's dream to get married,
Mhm.
and just saying no to it kind of crushes her dream. So
Okay. So, I mean, there's a couple of different approaches that you can use to this, right? You're going to get women that are just hell bent on getting married, right? They just want to find a guy and get married. They want the party, they want the invitations, the reception, the honeymoon, the videos, the photographers, all that stuff makes them feel special. I get it. It's a big party, okay? Um Women are more often not pretty much hell bent on it. They don't understand it from the guy's perspective. When guys start to unplug and they see that it's not such a good deal and there's too much risk exposure and it's difficult to manage and then living together and all that sort of stuff, that's when they're starting to like sort of push back in it. So you're open to having a long-term relationship. You just don't want to get married or live in the way that the state looks as a marriage. Is that what you're asking?
yes, absolutely, yeah, that's correct. And it's kind of funny things like if you Google any article, it's like if you've been living with a guy for X amount of years
Yeah.
and he hasn't proposed, it's like
Oh yeah.
just leave him. There isn't a single article or anything that suggests like, hey, stay with this guy or anything like that.
Yeah.
And on top of that, you have family, friends, and you
Yeah.
have everybody's like, oh, he hasn't proposed. You've been
Yeah.
together for 3 years. Oh, it's time to leave. He's not the one. And
Yeah,
it's
um
very,
yeah, I'm trying to relate to it a little bit more because I mean, because of what I do, and I'm very open with the fact that I'm not interested in marriage. I'm never going to get married again. I don't have a strong interest in wanting to live with a woman anytime in the immediate future. Um, I actually did a video in my car the other day talking about why it's not ideal to live with a woman and why it's to your advantage to try to avoid that. So that'll be on the Entrepreneurs and Cars channel soon. But I think that if you're reasonably honest with her, right, and if you're dealing with women that have strong desire for you, so from the get go, there's a few things that you can do. You should be dating women that aren't overtly stating immediately that their goal is marriage, because one of the things you're doing, you're wasting both of your time. I mean, if you're just looking for a long-term relationship with a girl that's sort of keeping your frame, that's going to be a compliment to your life, you're going to keep dealing with women. I mean, if they're overtly saying, like on dating apps, if they're stating in the apps, my name's Becky, I'm 34 years old, I have a great job in corporate America, I don't have any kids yet, I'd like to have a family. So if you're not interested in family or marriage and swipe left, then look, I mean, don't waste your time or waste her time, right? Like, if you want to date her or if you want to meet her or something like that and it comes up, she's going to be pretty strongly opinionated about the idea of getting married and having kids. And I don't think that you should try to change that opinion of it. But what you should do, in my opinion, is date women that aren't interested in marriage or aren't overtly stating it, at least when you meet them, right? So it's not going to be immediately crammed down your throat, right? And the other thing that you have to understand about women is that their sexual strategy will adopt your sexual strategy. So what I mean by that is, if she's hell bent on getting married and you're not, if she likes you enough, she will stay with you even though you're not going to marry her. Do you understand what I'm saying here?
yes, but I kind of disagree on this one
Okay, explain.
since it's like even if you're the best option for her,
Yeah.
her idea of marriage
Okay.
and kind of you saying no to that, it's pretty much crushing her dreams and everything. So it doesn't matter
Yeah.
how successful, how best option is, since women are emotional and they run by the emotions, they just think for the exit plan.
Yeah, but look, man, I mean, I can say this, for myself and for a lot of the guys that I work with on a close basis. Women will abandon their hopes, wants, dreams, and desires if you are a high enough value guy. I'm not going to say they're going to do it all the time. 100% of the time, they're not going to do it. There's just going to be something going to be hell bent on. Shit or get off the pot. If you're not going to marry me, then I'm going to move on. If that's the case, she's done you a favor, dude. If that's all she wanted from you was just to get a ring, live with you, sign a marriage contract, and have a couple kids that, let's be honest, 50% of the time, you're never going to see them after 7 to 8 years after you get divorced, because she's going to have custody and all your money's going to flow to her. So what's the freaking point, right? She's done you a favor if she's that hell-bent. Because women like that are that hell-bent on marriage, they don't want you. They want a husband. And there's a big difference between that. So they're doing you a favor if they're that hell-bent on it. Fine, go. Good luck. Most of those women, and when I say most, at least 51% of them, most of those women at some point in the future, if you're a high enough value guy, if you're captivating, if you're a gentleman, if you make good money, if you do everything right in the bedroom for her, she'll come knocking on your door later on in the future, even when she's married to the next guy. I'm telling you, dude, I've had women that I dated in my 20s that have messaged me decade and a half later. Oh, I'm really sorry I did this to you. You were the best I ever had. I love you so much. That it's like, bitch, you're married. Like I can see you on Facebook. You're married with kids. Like, what the hell's wrong with you, right? Like when you start to understand these behaviors and you surrender certain things, like, okay, well, certain women just won't stay with me. Okay, fine. You've done me a favor. Go find some schlep. That's okay. Fine, no problem. I'll look past your 50 notch count. I'll look past the fact that you're bringing kids from two different guys, to the table. I'll look past your debt. I'll look past your mental disorders and the pills you have to pop. I'll look past all this shit and put a ring on your finger because that's a good idea, right? The vast majority of women today are not even marriage material. They're barely even LTR type of material, right? So it's like, if they go, let them go. Bless and release, let them go. But if you're dating a bunch of women simultaneously in a non-monogamous fashion, the cream rises to the top. Hey, Michael, where do we stand? I dig your vibe. I don't want to share you. I want to claim you. I'm not seeing anybody else. Other guys are invisible to me, blah, blah, blah. Okay, fine. And, you can remind her at that point, I'm happy to date and keep saying you. And I feel the same way, blah, blah, blah. Like, you have the talk sort of thing. But just understand, I'm never going to get married, or I'm never going to live in the way that the state views as a marriage. Okay. I'm not saying that I won't see you for a long time. I'm not going to say that maybe we might live together at some point, right? But I'm not going to ever do this thing, right? And if she wants to stick around, then that's her choice. But she can't bother you about it in the future. You made your position very, very clear. It's like if you go to the dealership and you buy a freaking Lamborghini, you can't complain to the dealer afterwards that you're not getting 40 miles to the gallon like your Prius does, right? Like, you've made it clear what your position is. So I think you have to manage it a little bit better. I think you have to let certain women go and just surrender to it, as beautiful or as whatever boxes they might tick off for you. That's why you got to put yourself first, man. This is why the whole mental point of origin and doing your own thing matters more than anything else, because it puts you in a position where you can be spoiled for more choice with a higher caliber of women. And the ones that go, you're fine, because you can replace them very, very easily. I don't know. Does that make sense to you, man?
It does, yes.
It's just a thing. Like, you can't really fix it. Like, there's no, hey, memorize these lines, or let me hypnotize her with some woo-woo bullshit or something like this. It's like, none of that stuff actually exists. It's just, it's one of those things that happens in love and war. And some women will just, because they don't get their way, they're just going to go, well, I want to get married. Okay, well, if that's what you want to do, then I'll miss you.
True, I agree. To some women, the piece of paper is more important than actually being with that person. Absolutely, yes.
And honestly, to me, that's bullshit. Because if all she cares about is a piece of paper, the ring, and the party, and all that sort of stuff, because there's people that get married and don't even have kids, right? Like, they just want to get, or she wants to get married. That's all that they care about, is the safety component of it, right? They just care about the fact that now that she's married, the law has her ass protected. She can get half of your shit.
Oh, absolutely. My friend actually went to divorce, and
I don't like that. I
He's
mean, if a
feeding
woman is
himself.
truly virtuous and in love with you and thinks that you're the best that she can get, she'll look past the whole "I want to get married" thing, right? You know, if she's good, solid character, and you're
Yeah.
not about it because you don't want to complicate your life unnecessarily, she will stay. I really hope you guys enjoyed that clip. If you want to watch the full-length podcast, you can find that over here, that clip's from. If you're newer to the channel, make sure you hit subscribe over here, and pin down below in the top comment, you'll find a bunch of useful links to my website, my supplement line, books, and a bunch of other stuff. Have an amazing day. Peace out.